Welcome right back. I introduce my guest as usual. He's none other than Dr. Idahosa Osamhanze. Hello, Doc.
Great SOUQ this morning, great Nigeria. Kena, pleasure to be here with you.
Always. We always feel blessed to have you shed lights, give us
I admire
insights.
your filler and
Thank you very much.
the colors are quite amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Awesomely unique.
Thank you. Just like you. I can see how pleasant you're looking too on the feedback. All right, we'll jump right in. Business Day Nigeria. Multinationals exit Nigeria operations to limit FX exposure. They're talking about retaining local assets in order for them to tap into opportunities. Doc, this has been something that has been a problem, a reoccurring thing where multinationals are leaving despite all the money's being made. How do they explain that, and how are the people supposed to keep up with losing such products?
Well, I think there's a huge disconnect really here about multinational living, and
I agree.
Also trying to struggle to bring in foreign direct investment in some of all this space. But I think generally, we also must look at those issues where we begin to see opportunities in those spaces that are becoming vacant. If you have looked at the body of that story, you will find that, of course, it will not be less than some people who decide to turn us into a trading arena. Well, that's exactly what it means.
Without caring.
Because all the multinationals that have left, their products are in our markets. So what that simply means is that they're even adding more to our problem, because they have to import this product, source FX from here to bring the product in here, and compounding our challenge.
But how does it profit them to leave and put us in that situation?
You see, technology has made the world so flat.
Not round anymore.
No. That you find that an equipment that could fill this whole room is now on a small chip that can move around. So building factories that are humongous all across the world is no longer profitable for multinational companies, because the cost of maintenance is killing. You talk about the energy consumption, you talk about the manpower, talk about increasing cost of living. All these things are affecting operations, so they are not making profits. So one way to be able to make profit is to slim down.
That makes sense.
So they slim it down and create it. Of course, they've already made some customers around, and they don't want to carry that overhead. So it's easier for them, produce it somewhere, ship it down here. So you just do the math and see what profit you make. So you are not running diesel, you are not burning band A, you are not facing picketing from labor and all that. And then you are cool and dry, making your money and smiling to the bank. So I think it is the modeling of business that is changing really globally, that people are seeming to look at how are we going to be able to optimize what we have such that we can remain competitive and still be able to make our shareholders smile. All these things are the things that are happening. But this should not be for us a very sad situation. It's also an opportunity for people who are creative locally to fill those space and create brands that will be accepted locally within the budget of an average home in Nigeria. And then there'll be no reason to complain.
Doc, but it's not such a, should I say, shoes to fill, not such a easy shoes to fill, because people have complained that we here, Nigerians are not given equal opportunities that are being given to foreigners when they're coming to do business here, to set up. So when they leave those gaping holes, it's quite a chore to fill.
Yeah, but I don't think it's about equal opportunity. It's about our ability to be able, even to be creative in terms of what we are doing. It's also in terms of us to also see how we can collaborate with some certain people. These are all part of the conversation that we should have. But by and large, I feel that we must begin to become a productive economy. And I think we cannot say less of that, because that's the only way you can grow your economy. Because if people are not productive and you're just consuming, it's the simplest and cheapest way to become poor. So what we have seen in time past is that we're seeing nations who are putting and making a whole lot of energy in terms of producing. Take, for example, you go to the UAE, desert. Those guys are struggling to see how they can even produce their food they eat. And I think we must also take that route to see that we are investing so much in capacity building that our people are able to really get the requisite skills to make things happen. And I think it's possible.
Yes, possible it is. This one is a strange headline. Banks hire more staff, double wage bills on inflation. Catch that on page 28. But Doc, banks double wage? Even despite the inflation, current inflation that's going on, isn't it strange? It feels strange because, like we said, people are cutting down. Industries are shedding weight. Banks hire more staff. They double wage. What do you think is going on here?
It's just common sense.
How so?
What you find here is that Nigerian inflation is not demand push.
How do you mean, Doc?
It's cost push.
Okay.
The cost of goods and services are going up because logistics is going up, because the cost of energy is going up. All these things put pressure on the pricing in the market. That's the condition of our inflation. And I really feel that those who are in charge of our monetary policy should underline and underscore this particular fundamental. Because the argument for rate increases, which we have seen over the years, is based or hinged on the fact that we are having so much money in our hands, and there is very few goods
that they can get
that is available, and therefore the prices of those goods have doubled. But that's not the situation. The situation is that electricity that used to be 51 naira per unit is now 225 naira per unit. Even when it says 207 or 209, we have not seen the 209. So by the time you put all VAT and the thing is coming to 250 per unit from 50. So what's the percentage increment? That's over 500%. And that comes on the cost of goods and services. So prices are not up because people have plenty of money in their hand. Prices are high because the cost of input is high.
Taking a lot to get those.
Now, you imagine this on the value chain. Electricity is high because the cost of gas is high. The cost of petrol is high. Now, the cost of transportation is also high for goods and services in terms of logistics. Now, where does this put the worker, whose salary has been constant over the years? So he has nothing left in his wallet to go to the market to do purchases. So it's only just reasonable for employers to add more money to their staff. They are not able to add that 500% increment.
Of course not.
So what do they need to do? Some people have to work from home. Some people have to be off. And if people are working shift now, what do? You have to need more hands.
True.
That's what you are seeing. It's just a survival strategy for businesses.
And
it's not healthy.
You have a point there, because even up till now, people have complained that since COVID, firms and organizations and companies have worked from home.
Yeah.
I have a friend currently, they work 2 days on, 3 days at home. And they begin to explain that due to the way things are going, it helps cut down on your expenses. And that makes sense. But on the flip side of that, it makes staff, it makes employees lazy a bit.
Yeah.
So how do we battle that?
Yeah, that's it. Productivity is dropping.
Dropping.
Because nobody has actually gone out to do a study on the productivity index of
Hybrid work.
It's until we have to calculate that to find. And that's why the pressure here is for employer to see how more staff can we have so that those gaps are filled somehow. So I think that is what it is. But so that increases cost for businesses, reduces profit, and then shareholders are not smiling.
So like I said, catch that on page 28. Nollywood script writing fails to match screen success. This has gone on for a long time. It's not funny, but there's the billion-dollar industry, to rephrase this, hasn't been able to match the success with its creativity, with its they're talking about script writing here, but even the visuals. How do we up that game?
Well, there's a lot more investment in those things, and I just feel that this is actually where states can actually.
The money is there.
Yeah, the money is in the industry, but you see, the problem is that we also have to look at the psyche of an average Nigerian business person. How do we think about business? We hit capital and profit at the same time.
Putting little, get out much.
The truth of the matter is that if you just hit one now and something comes, the first thing you want to do is to go and look for where to buy a house. And then your capital is depleted and you are looking for more money. And that's against the biblical wisdom that you establish business first before you build a house. So this is the way we live. And what can really solve this problem, and I feel, is when there's a partnership, probably between the states and the industry operators, where quality equipment, for example, you have theater hub across the country where people can just walk in with their script, and then of course they pay to get quality job done. And then of course the owners or those who run those places invest in technology to make things really easy.
And make things
But anyway, they can come to SOUQ News, and I think
yes,
we have enough
make your way here.
And equipment
make
to
your way
make
here.
things happen
And let's partner
for those in the Nollywood industry. This is the best place to be.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you. It feels good to hear you say that, Doc. So independence, this refers to independence, 64-year-old Nigeria. Nigeria foot drags to unlock 180 trillion naira assets as our debt piles. Nigeria foot drags to unlock 180 trillion naira assets as debt piles. Doc, 180 trillion, that's what's the word for it? It's staggering.
You know, I think it's quite unfortunate that we have found ourselves in a kind of a space where we are, where you have assets of government littering everywhere.
And it can be seen.
And we can see from the old defense building here to the former federal government secretariat here in Ikoyi, all lying waste. No activity happening. And these are multi-billion investments. We are complaining there are housing deficits. Imagine that this is converted into an apartment, that is converted into an apartment where people can live and pay their rent, or turn them into office spaces. Government will be earning income by the day. And that's what a lot of people have argued. That how do you have so much assets that are lying waste and fallow? And then you are everywhere begging people to borrow you money.
Or to come and invest.
Yeah. So how do we convert these assets into liquid cash? Should be the real business of government. And I've seen that happen. Real estate is a big business and it's booming.
Yes, it is. On the up and up.
Yeah. Even if government can't do it, they can partner with real estate developers who transform some of these gigantic structures.
Look, I think you have a point. The best bet is housing, because if we talk about office complex, we can see that the various buildings are lying fallow. Even people can't come and rent those buildings for office spaces. But as middle income housing, I think that would fly.
Yeah, but it's, you see, those properties you see lying fallow, they have one connect with government or the other.
Yet.
So that's why they are fallow. Because people just look beyond those assets and we are not really doing a lot. Like somebody said, why are we still holding on to majority share of NPCL?
When we can
actually commercialize it and sell it and sell our stake of it.
Right.
NNPC is over 2 trillion in terms of assets. So you can sell it and make so much money from it. To build infrastructure that can even generate
more income.
More money.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's do better if we know better. On to the next publication. Business Daily in Kenya. M-KOPA reveals 5.2 billion shilling costs of tracing defaulters. M-KOPA reveals 5.2 billion shilling costs of tracing defaulters. So the tribunal allows the fintech to write off 308 million shillings. The Kenya Revenue Authority accuses the firm of tax avoidance. Doc, why would one have to spend so much to chase defaulters? Is that not penny wise, pound foolish?
Well, it's in the books.
Right?
And you can see the entries there. You see, what corporation doing all over the world is to see how to hide your expenditures in your earnings and therefore reduce your propensity to pay state tax. So tax evasion will always be there as regulation gets stiffer and stronger. Those who put money down won't see how to make their money back.
Why does it have to cost so much to trace them down?
Yeah, but that is what it is. That is what is factored in the book.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know, what you're saying here is saying, okay, you have prepared your book. Auditors are saying that, look, the cost you are using to chase your debtor is this humongous. That's what it means. And there's a foul play somehow. And those suspects or suspicions are there. But what I'm saying that, of course, which is what people do globally, is to see how to, especially in regimes where taxes, corporate taxes are very high, income taxes are high. So people try to hide their profits in expenditures.
Right. Okay, next headline. Firms pause recruitment on depressed sales. Private firms paused hiring or firing staff in September on failing demand for goods and services, reflecting the impact of a softening economy plagued by depressed money circulation.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like they say, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You just find that the economy is not moving because capitalism thrives on profit making, and when company is making profit, they are expanding, and as they expand, they are recruiting. So when the economy is also shrinking, the possibility of hiring more is slim. And now you have to also struggle with your labor law to see whether you can fire people and then retain them, even when there's no productivity. All these are the real issue that the global economy is facing as we speak. And I think there's a need for leadership globally so that we can retool the wheel of the global economy for profitability. I think the way the world is going right now, we are heading towards a major depression.
Doc, I agree with you on that because we can see, even on the streets, it's glaring. Budget controller declines 5 billion shilling county cash withdrawal. So the controller of budgets in Kenya rejected almost 5 billion shillings worth of requests from counties in the year that ended June, a couple of months ago, after the devolved units flouted the law on deduction of taxes and payment of pending bills. He turned down almost 5 billion.
Budget can't accommodate it.
What's going on? What's really going on?
Yeah, but it is the situation where you find that your pocket is lean, really lean, and you have so much bill to pay, and there's a pressure from all angles. So the economy is actually pressured, and people are facing huge and severe pressure because things are not the way they are. You take, for example, government economy is becoming really leaner and leaner, but of course the what's it called? The demand on government is becoming wider and wider. And I think Cardosk, in his communication theory of political analysis, says, of course, you see that lag. And so what you will see that most states are suffering what is called both demand stress and support stress. So what it is, people are putting overload demand on the political system. And the inability of the system to be able to process those demands results in support withdrawal. So that's why you see people are protesting against government because of government inability to meet the burgeoning demand. So this is a problem, and that's why I keep saying the state must return to what it was ab initio, who is the mediator and regulators of competition between the strong and the weak, and not take on the role of a father who has responsibility to provide for all.
Right. SA fund manager eyes stake in tycoon grain farm. It's easy because right now a lot of the market is grains are doing very well in the market. Rice, millet, beans, and all that stuff. Apart from, I don't see any other food that is doing great right now. So the investment is a no-brainer. It's something that people want to invest in easily.
I think that's what we all need to do. I was listening to
growing the farm, right?
Yeah, Kola Additional the other day on a platform. And say people just call him engineer and they don't realize that he's a farmer too. I want to be a farmer too.
Farming has become fun, but Doc, really, I know a lot of young folks that are farmers right now.
Oh yeah.
We had a young lady on one of our shows She was a farmer. She finished from one of the private universities, and she's a farmer. She lives in Lekki. She goes to Crude every week, spends 3-4 days there on her farm. She does she deals in mostly dry vegetables. 3-4. If you look at her, you would never know. And it's such an amazing thing that young people are catching on to that, because if you grow your food, there's that huge lifting.
I think it's the right thing to do, really, because even in terms of conflict of interest in public service, the only job that public servants are allowed to do outside the official job is farming. So I think it's something. You can just imagine that we are growing our chicken at our backyard. We will not be afraid of Christmas coming.
We're afraid of Christmas coming.
Yeah, we're afraid because chicken, you are thinking that chicken is going to sell for 500 naira, 50,000 for one. So if you grow it at your backyard, you don't have any fear.
Just reach out through the window.
Yeah, pick one and then you slaughter. So I think that's the real thing that we must all be looking at. And of course, right around our compounds, we just get some manure into some pots or sack and plant our vegetable. So we don't need to go to the market to go and buy vegetable.
But Doc, do you think we've become so techy, so AI-ish, that we have chosen not to get our hands dirty?
Yeah, but that is why we're also getting our stomach biting.
Right?
Yeah, hunger is biting us hard because we don't want our hand dirty.
All right, well, on to the next publication, Business Day in South Africa. Minister to tame Eskom tariff hike. So the Energy and Electricity Minister says he's considering options on how to intervene in Eskom's tariff hike proposals, has not ruled out the possibility of proposing that the Treasury delay the full implementation of carbon taxes on these people. The problems keep on piling.
The question to ask is, how will he do that? Is he able to pull down the cost of energy? These are the questions. So politicians are very good at making promises. And I think it is better when we say things the way they are. Because if prices are not cost reflective, definitely you will see investment in that sector.
True.
And I think that's one of the issues that I feel we should really focus on as African country. I had to speak on this platform yesterday on early exchange, and when people are asking, why should Nigeria go to take a place in a permanent seat? And I said, that's not our priority. Priority should be how to feed your people first. Before you are talking about honor, you have to ensure that you have what it takes to maintain that status that you are wanting to give to yourself. Your people are badly hungry and say you feel that you need a role or a reputation to stay among big boys.
It's
and spend like a big boy.
It's so sad.
I think that doesn't really fly. Let people be real. And the more real we become, the better it is for all of us.
For everybody.
Yeah, so we don't aspire to put hands where our hands cannot get to. So people should cut their clothes according to their coat according to their clothes. They say today, not according to your size.
Yes, because if you are too big, how do you cut?
You have to just go and add other multicolor to it.
No, you make baby clothes yourself. You don't have to wear it.
Mm-hmm. No, you can wear it. Go to tailor the one they have cut off from other people's clothes and add it, and then it become coat of many colors.
All right, we'll move on to Business Post in Bangladesh. Poultry production plummets over 20%. This is a problem, Doc. We're talking about farming now. Oh, wow. So now they're saying, as it plummets 20%, flood pushes egg prices up, like crazy up, beyond 20%. The same for broiler chicken. We're talking about Christmas here. Flash floods and heat increase worsen. Poultry production down 27%. Farmers blame the flash floods and the heat. And worse still, middlemen are blamed for inflating egg price above 26%.
It's a period for cash out for some people. one man's meat is another man's poison, they always say.
You know, the one that gets me in this news is egg production is down by 10 million
Yes.
daily.
Daily egg. And of course, doctors are recommending now that we should be eating at least 2 eggs per day.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is
Doc,
the
how do we
problem.
manage that?
It's serious.
How do we manage
You know, somebody said to me recently, and he said
egg is 300 naira now.
that when doctors used to be living on their profession, they say egg was not good for the body. But since doctors have become farmers now, egg is a very nutritious meal. Oh God, save us from our world.
Look, egg used to be 3 for 200 naira.
Yes.
It was even less than that. But now 1 is 300 naira.
Because we are eating egg so much these days.
Yunus set for crucial talks with Malaysian Prime Minister today. The talks about will be happening this afternoon. It will be about their relations to new heights. No Didi, by the way, and they'll be exploring new areas of cooperation and strengthening ties in diverse areas. Catch the full news about this on page 4.
Yeah, you know.
Countries are getting together. How can we collaborate? How can we do stuff together? How can we carry each other's burdens? Because that's, like you said, collaboration.
Well, collaboration is great, and I think there's no more renowned economists in the world today than this fortunate man who leads Bangladesh at this moment. He has written so many works, done so much in the area of community banking, microfinance banking.
Modi, right?
Yeah, no. Yunus, the Prime Minister,
Modi is India.
India, yes, is the acting Prime Minister in Bangladesh, interim government. So he's doing so well to see how to close the gap created by wealth distribution in Bangladesh, which is really the problem. I've spoken to a lot of Bangladeshis. The kind of things they talk about, yes, there's so much in the economy if you aggregate it in terms of GDP. But what is missing is the fact that the gap between the rich and the poor is widening on a daily basis.
So all that is in the hands of a few people.
Yes, so this money that is being made is in the hands of very few who are getting wealthier and wealthier, and they are buying houses and yachts all across the globe. And then the ordinary people in Bangladesh are very poor. So the task before Yunus is to see how we can bridge that income gap between the rich and the poor so that the poor can breathe. You remember that phrase?
Yes. Okay, had to go there. Fiscal year 2025 GDP growth may witness slowdown. Bangladesh Bank says this. GDP growth may slow down. Talking about fiscal year next year.
Yeah, of course. You also see there's a whole lot of intrigues that are going on.
They're doing so well.
Yeah, under the previous regime, and I think they were doing really so well. Somebody said to me, look, they cannot rule out that there were a lot of corrupt things happening, but the lady was excellently doing very well because she was so conscious of holding power. And so we gave free hand to a lot of people to do so much thing. Now, with Yunus on the saddle right now, seeing the transition to a new government, I don't know when and how that happens. You've seen that it's going to put a lot of measures on the ground and seeing how to curb corruption, as it were, so that the wealth redistribution can really happen. And what that would mean is that he's a very cautious person, and as a cautious optimist, he has to tread slowly and won't want to take this deep risk.
More like carefully.
Yeah, that people, So you find that may, to a very large extent, affect the productive rate in the economy. He may not want to borrow more money like the other guy was doing. And
which is a wise thing.
Yes, of course, which is a wise thing to do, to also see how to reduce your debt to revenue ratio and all that. So all of that is going to happen. And you see, because the more money you bring into economy, of course, the higher your GDP will grow. But if you're not attracting so much, you find that it could stagnate for a period of time. But I think ultimately it has to be strategic, that it not be a perpetual stagnation, but that with time we can see things happening in the economy, and then of course they return back to the status of growth which they have maintained for some time now.
Yes. Financial Times, UK. Oil surges after Biden remarks over Israel attack on Iran. It's strange. Well, they say crude is up 5% amid trader speculations. US and allies urge measured response. But it's strange how when those comments are made, things just change.
Yeah, but of course, you see, what it is that...
Drastically too.
Yeah, you see, this was the conversation we had yesterday here on the important role of the Security Council in terms of mediating world peace. And why, of course, you have to have the big five in there. Because it matters, really, because they are the one that seems to be shielding and protecting the interests of their allies. Now, what if Biden says, oh, Israel, we don't like what you are doing and we don't want you to continue on this trajectory. So everybody is going to think that if America is not backing Israel, the chances of Israel going on to launch on an attack will be reduced. And then, of course, the chances of that crisis escalating will be minimal. But if America is saying, no, what Iran has done to Israel is not good, Israel, you have the right to go fire back, then, of course, it's like Israel is getting the backing of the America and their allies and saying, okay, go ahead. And that's urgent. And, of course, those who are calculating on the fringes, because I ask people, there's what they call the political economy of warfare. People always think war is bad. War is only bad to the victim. But it's a huge economy to those who are pushing for the war, especially those who have something to sell in wartime.
Food, ammunition.
There's so much to sell.
Water.
Yeah, during wartime. And of course, the international agreements had given the room for people like Red Cross to be able to move into a war situation, and they are protected. And all these things, the Red Cross are going in there, they are going there with food items, they are going there with clothing, they are going there with something, and these are bought from other places.
Exactly, it's free.
And so it seems free, but then of course an economy for those who are producing. So this is what it is. So war is a huge economy, and people are making so much from it, and that's why of course they will not want it to end, really. So
True.
The possibility of peace is high, but the fact that many people will continue to profit from the war situation will make it to always escalate. So what you find here is that if you see that the aggressor is now being attacked globally, you are going to see that there's going to be a reaction from chain. You remember the last time when the October event happened and Israel launched an attack? What happened? The Suez Canal was blocked by the Yemenian rebels. And then, of course, there was a glut because there was no ship that wanted to pass through that.
No movement.
Back to this axis. And so created a huge inflation problem in this part of the world, while, of course, a glut in this other part of the world until that canal was open. So this is what happened. So once you say, oh, there's the possibility of this happening, people are aggregating around their allies.
They begin to fix.
Yes,
wedge.
of course. So I'm looking at where to hit back at you. Your friend is also targeting. This person's friend is also targeting. It creates a situation. And then, of course, those who have money now really have stockpiling food and they are putting a lot of things, hoping that that thing continue. And then it's opportunity to really cash out with huge profits to the banks.
War, not such a good thing, but for some it is.
Well, it is, yeah.
Looking at a few more headlines, let's look at Financial Express just quickly before we wrap it up on the show. West Asia wounds markets. Government internship scheme gets 111 firms on board. 90,000 IT notices made valid as SC backs taxmen. Hyundai may open mid-October in India. All this is from Financial Express in India. And a peek at Gulf Times Asia in Qatar. Al-Khawari inaugurates GCC 2035 conference. GCC guys are just making a killing. How they gather together like siblings from from parents and just do all their businesses together. IMF sees economic rebound in GCC this year, suggests tax reforms and faster diversification. Al-Kabi meets Iran's energy minister. QCB bills auction reveals bid worth 13 billion Qatari riyals. The amount allocated totals 4.5 billion Qatari riyals. Mwani Qatar Free Trade Zone signs MOU to enhance cooperation. Qatar Airways has 94 Boeing 777X aircraft on order. On that note, we'll wrap it up on SOUQ Business Landscape. Thank you, Doc, for being here. Dr. Osamhanze, please. Hope you come through on Monday and shine some light into that
Always there with you.
golden brain of yours, sir. All right, stay tuned for Early Exchange at 8 o'clock. My name is Hans Mba. Have a lovely morning.